Okay, so hey guys, welcome back. So we're going to go ahead and carry on with creating this hole. Last time we went ahead and blocked it out and so on, and now we're going to go ahead and merge these together. So once we roughly line these up, what I'm going to go ahead and do is select the corner vertices and just snap them to where they roughly need to be. Okay, and I'm not going to worry about too much about the bumps that we would get, because we're going to go ahead and straighten these out. So once I line up all of these, we're going to go ahead and combine this mesh, and then we're going to make sure that this is perfectly flat, otherwise we'll probably get some artifacting happening. I'll go ahead and demonstrate this, as this is on a slope. So once we line up those vertices, just select both of these guys and then go to mesh combine. And also let's go ahead and go to edit, delete all by type history, and let's go ahead and make sure that all of these vertices are merged. So I'm going to go to merge vertices with an offset of probably really low, 0.05 should do the trick. Okay, so this should be all merged together. So now if you go ahead and check out this guy, if I go ahead and smooth this, you'll see that we get a nice smooth hole and it all looks pretty and dandy. But we will go ahead and get this artifacting happening due to the fact that obviously this is not lining up with the height of these vertices. So what we're going to go ahead and do is, we did go ahead and create this bottom lip, but we're going to go ahead and delete that. So I'm going to select that ring, delete that, and I'm also going to go ahead and select that ring and delete that. And then we're going to go ahead and select all of these faces here, and those as well. And to straighten this out, we're going to go ahead and use the scale tool, and we're going to go ahead and straighten this out perfectly flat. Okay. So now that we've straightened this out perfectly flat, you'll notice that obviously this kind of ruined how our angle was with this shape. So I'm going to go ahead and rotate this and move it up. And probably before we've done this, we should have went ahead and added a supporting edge. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to go ahead and quickly undo this. Okay, and what I'm going to go ahead and do is go to insert edge and add an edge loop around here, just so we know roughly what the angle was. Okay, so this is just sort of a placeholder. So now that we have that, I'm going to go ahead and again reselect these faces. Make sure that I don't have that selected. Okay, and then let's go ahead and straighten this out again. And now, because we added that edge loop there, we exactly know what the angle was. So now when we go back and try to match this up, as you can see, we'll roughly see the sort of angle that we had previously. So I'm going to go ahead and rotate this, move it back up. Okay, roughly to the right place. Maybe rotate it a bit more. And as you can see, it doesn't perfectly line up due to the angle that we had previously, but this slope here is pretty much exactly the same that we had before, apart from that one. So now that we have that, I'm going to go ahead and select that loop and delete it, so it will get roughly the right shape that we need. Okay, so that looks pretty good. And now when we go ahead and smooth this, you'll notice that that artifacting is not there anymore, because this is a perfectly flat surface. Okay, so now that we've blocked out the main hole, we obviously still need to go ahead and create the two jack holes here, the USB ports here, which is actually, I think, like 4 of them. So there are 4 USB holes there, and there is a USB 3.0 firewire. And there is also another tiny hole here, which is actually just an LED, but we're going to go ahead and cut that in as well. So what we're going to go ahead and do next is we'll go ahead and add the supporting edges here, just so we see what our shape actually looks like. And then we'll go ahead and start cutting in the new holes. So let's go ahead and isolate this. And I'm going to go ahead and give this some depth here. So I'm going to select that and extrude this down. And let's go ahead and start adding in the supporting edges that we need here. So we're going to need one here as well. One here. And I think we'll need one at the top as well as the bottom. Now when we go ahead and add a supporting edge here that we want to go around this way, you'll notice that it will go up around here, and that's not what we need. So what I'm going to do is I'll still go ahead and add this edge loop in, do the same thing on the other side. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and select that loop from here, the one that we don't need, and delete that. Do the same thing on the other side. And now we just need to go ahead and connect this up. So I'm going to go ahead and use the insert edge loop tool again, add an edge here, and then again I'm going to go ahead and select this loop to get rid of that, and do the same thing on the other side. So I'm going to select that. I think it was that one. Yeah. Was it? All these edges are selected. Actually, it was this one. There we go. I think I deleted the right one. Yeah. So we need that loop. Delete that. And now all we need to do is let me have a look here. Just going to have to go ahead and merge these guys together, I think. So we don't need this, don't need that. Actually, we can go ahead and delete that, I think, and it will be fine. Oops. Only one. I'm going to delete probably, let me see. Let me have a look on the other side. So I'm just checking how I'm going to go ahead and delete this. And the way I'm going to go ahead and do it is go to merge vertex tool and merge that there. Do the same thing here. So merge this up here, delete that. Okay, and now we got that supporting edge going around there as well. Let's go ahead and smooth it and see how this forms. Okay, so that looks quite nice. I might go ahead and add another one, or move this up maybe, because that one looks really low. So I'm going to go ahead and select this and then go to vertex, so two vertices, control right click, and actually I can't move it up because it will move directly up. So I'm going to select that edge and then use the slide edge tool. And try to slide this up a bit. There we go. You try to keep that corner tight. And I'm going to do the same thing here on the bottom. So I'm going to select this, and then again slide edge tool, middle mouse button drag. Okay, that looks pretty good. Okay, so that looks really nice. Let's go ahead and isolate just to see how this will fit in there. Smooth that. Okay, so that looks pretty good. This is not lining up as well as I want it to over here. So I think we're going to go ahead and modify that corner a tiny bit. So I'm going to go into my top view here. And then I'm going to go ahead and select all of these vertices, maybe push them back. Let me see how that will work out. It doesn't work out very well. There we go. So I'm just going to go ahead and push this way and then out a bit. And I'm trying to go ahead and create the same gap that we have over here. I'm going to go ahead and do the exact same thing over here. So I'm going to push it in and then push it a maybe a bit more this way. Try to line this up a little bit better. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Now I think we do get a quantizer gap to show these are two separate pieces. But I think what I'm going to go ahead and do is I will actually go ahead and scale this up a little bit. So go to modify center pivot. Ooh, and make live. Can't see my, there we go. And just a tiny bit, I'll scale it up. Literally a tiny bit. Okay. Okay, so that looks pretty good now. So now what we're going to go ahead and do is we need to go ahead and create these extra cuts. Now, because that detail is so small, to go ahead and add in all the topology that we need by the insert edge loop tool, that will go ahead and create us quite a few issues with this curve especially. So if, for example, I wanted to go ahead and start blocking out the hole that I wanted to cut for one of these USBs, I would have to go ahead and start adding in these edge loops over here. Okay, and for example, if this was the bit that I needed, I would have to go ahead and delete that and so on. Now what that will go ahead and create is loads of edge loops around here that we really don't want to do, because that will go ahead and change the way this deforms. So the easiest way to go ahead and do this, instead of trying to create the topology ourselves, is I'm going to first go ahead and duplicate this. So we got our backup. Okay. And then what we're going to go ahead and do is we'll actually apply a smooth mesh preview to this. So let's go ahead and see how that will go ahead and look. Or maybe that might be too much for us. Okay. So if you have a look now we got all this topology that we can start cutting in. Or we'll just go ahead, and if I undo this, we'll actually go ahead and go to mesh smooth and have it only on one division and hit apply and see how much topology this will create. Okay, so this will create quite a lot of topology for us to work with, and we can still go ahead and smooth this. But I think we'll go ahead and probably subdivide this one more time, I think. So let's go ahead and apply this one more time. So this is on actually smooth mesh preview now. And I think this might be too much for what we need here. But maybe actually it might be just fine, because we're going to have to cut in those jack holes as well. But I think we'll only go with 2. So I'll just undo that. Okay. And now I'm going to go ahead and start working on the next level of detail. So I subdivided once. So I'm going to pick the biggest details that we need to go ahead and cut in, such as these USB holes and the firewire and so on. And also we need to cut in that hole, but I think we'll wait with that small one until the next division. So once we're at this stage, let's go to our top view. And it's pretty clear that we're going to need 1, 2, 3, 4 USB holes over here. And we have 1, 2, 3, well actually we do have 4 exact polys here that we can go ahead and cut into. So I think we'll actually first start off with the jack holes, because they are sort of easier to go ahead and do. So let's go ahead and do that. And then in the next part, as we're running low on time, we'll go ahead and dive into the USB ports. Okay, so I'm back. Sorry, mate, it just crashed, so I had to go ahead and remodel this. So anyway, once you go ahead and smooth this, what you might notice if you isolate this, that you'll start to get these faces pop out here, as well as on the bottom. So to simply go ahead and fix that before we move on, just select the loop and delete it. And same thing here, select this loop and delete it. Okay. So now that we're all set to go, let's go ahead and cut in the 2 jack holes. They should be fairly easy to do. So So I'm just going to go into my top view and come out isolate, and now I'm just having a look at roughly where in relation to our reference of our main sort of hole where the jack holes would be. So it's roughly on the top edge. Okay, and we are using the perspective sort of reference, and roughly that means that basically we can go ahead and put them jack holes over up here. I think that should be fine, or even there probably would be a better place to put them, I think. Right next to each other here. Okay, so now that, yeah, that should be a perfect place. So basically we decided that's where we're going to go ahead and cut our main holes. So you can go ahead and delete these two faces, smooth to see how that would look. Okay, and it seems like that these vertices didn't merge for me, or they're just freaking out. So I'm just going to make sure that they're merged. Okay, that looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and make an extrusion here, and as well on the other side. I'm just going to make sure that these are all merged together. I'm just going to select all these vertices, merge vertices there. Okay, so let's go ahead and make an extrusion here, and same thing here. And those are going crazy, so I'm going to have to go ahead and select them one by one. Okay, so I'm just going to go to edit mesh, extrude, go down to thickness. And that's not working out very well. Let's try offset. Okay. And slow down my slider. And give it a tiny offset. Now let's go ahead and see how that smooths. And this is over here still freaking out a bit. So what we're going to go ahead and do is probably do the same thing that we did before with this hole. And the reason why this is smoothing all weirdly, I think, it's because of this topology. Over this side is completely different to here, so it will go ahead and try to, well, basically it will just freak out. So let's go ahead and see vertex faces just in case. Okay, so that looks all good. So let's go ahead and try to fix that by creating a cylinder again and plugging that in. So I'm going to create a cylinder, and before I delete the bottom, make sure that we go ahead and change this. And probably for this, because it's such a small hole, we can go down to subdivision, maybe probably like 6. And I think that should work out fine as well. Let me go ahead and smooth it. So, I mean, if we smooth this is still a really smooth hole, so should be perfectly fine. So once we have that, again, I'm going to go ahead and move these verts. Okay, let's go ahead and move this to the right place. I'm just holding down V and then snapping it roughly to the right place. Now we might get a couple of issues with this again, like we did with that. They're not going to be perfectly straight, but it shouldn't be such a big deal, hopefully. Okay, so I'm just trying to roughly position it to the right place. Go into my top view just to see roughly how big this hole is. So I'm going to go ahead, select this, make this bigger. Okay, that looks pretty good. So now let's go ahead and try to make sure that these are lining up perfectly. I'm going to go ahead and select that vert, snap it there, select this vert, snap it there. Do the same thing with those corners. Now obviously we're going to have an issue with these, so I'm going to go ahead and select both of them and try to find, there isn't one, so I'm going to go ahead and add a loop going down here. So now I can select these vertices, snap them down. For some reason they don't want to. Oh no, they are, sorry. Oops, there we go. Do the same thing with those. Now with these, we can't really do that, so I think what I'm going to go ahead and do is, just for now, so you can place these correctly or roughly the right height, I'm going to add these 2 edge loops, just so we can snap these guys to the right height, like so. And then we can actually go ahead and get rid of these. And hopefully this is going to work out. Now what we're also going to need is an edge loop going down here. So I'm going to go ahead and insert a loop here, and it will also have to go in here. That might ruin or mess up or smooth a little bit, hopefully it won't. Anyway, let's go ahead and try this. So I'm going to grab both of those, go to Mesh Combine, edit, delete by type history. And then let's go ahead and merge these. So go to Edit Mesh, Merge Vertex Tool, merge that there, merge that here. I'm going to select all of these dudes and use the Merge Vertices. Okay. As you can see, there's a little bit of a sort of mess here. I'm not exactly sure why that is happening, but our hole looks good, which is what matters. Seems like over here something is not merged properly, so I think I'll go ahead and investigate this a little bit further. But pretty much that looks that hole looks pretty good, and because these are symmetrical so far, we're just going to go ahead and cut this in half and duplicate it over. That should look pretty good. And also I'm checking if this edge loop that we added in here, if it's going to mess with the way how this is moving. But because it's pretty much in the center, it moves fine, so you can't really notice. Okay, so I'll see you guys in the next part.